it's been a couple of weeks since we've done this.
It has been.
And so I was out one Monday, you were out another Monday, but I got to tell you, I've been saving the story for this podcast.
Okay.
Because as a pastor, especially over the last 7 years, I mean, I've probably done it, golly, I'm going to be honest, and it doesn't sound like a big number, but if you think about it, it is, because it's not my only job. But probably, I'm going to say 75 to 100 funerals, maybe even more. Memorial services, the whole spectrum.
Yeah.
I mean, all of them are sad, of course. And it's just part of the job, right? And fun fact, I would actually rather do a memorial service than I would a wedding, by the way.
Well, it's a good thing you didn't do my wedding if that's how you feel.
It's not how I feel, but it's just if I have to choose. If someone said, David, do you want to do a wedding or do you want to do a memorial service? Memorial. Because people are more open to hearing the gospel, quite honestly, in a memorial service. And it's a lot more sober, right? The minister is kind of like a prop to a large degree, right? It's a formality, and I understand that.
Yeah.
And so, but I love weddings. They're fine. I had a wedding, so I'm a fan of them. But anyway, all that to say, I had a first. So here's what happened.
Okay.
This is the story. So one of our folks here at Great Oaks, she reached out to me. She said, look, my friend's mother just passed.
Okay.
My friend doesn't have a church or a minister she can reach out to. Would you be willing to do the memorial service for her mother? And I said, look, anything for you, 100%. Count me in. So the lady, her friend, reaches out. We'll say her name's Jennifer. Okay. Jennifer reaches out via text and says, hey, thank you so much. This is going to be the date. This is going to be the time. I was like, great. Is there anything in the text? I was like, is there anything beyond just you needing me to do this part and officiate the memorial service? She's like, no, everything else is covered. We're working with the funeral home. It's going to be fine. I said, great. So that's fine. I don't need to run and control everything.
Yeah.
If that's what they want me for, that's cool. So this funeral home was downtown. I can't remember the street, but it's like downtown. And it's like a big old funeral home. Looks like one of the ones that look like a mansion on the outside, right? So I cruised down. Dave, do you know this story? So I cruised down by myself, get into the funeral home, and I've done enough of these where, I make a beeline for the funeral director because they are the funeral director, right? So I come in, lady at the desk greets me, funeral director comes out. How are you? Oh, wonderful. She's like, is there anything you need? And I'm a very self-contained. I take pride in that to a degree. Like, I'm a professional. I know exactly what to do. Just tell me where and where I need to be. I got the rest. I know how to do this. So she said, is there anything that you need? And I was like, honestly, if you could just give me an order of service, that's all that I need, right? Just so I can get a rundown of how things are going to go.
Yeah, sure.
She's like, I don't think we have an order of service from the family. She said, well, let me check. She said, well, do this. She said, follow me. I'll take you to my office and we can figure that out there. And I was like, great. So she's like, so what exactly do you need? And I said, well, I need to know, is there going to be, who's going to be doing the eulogy? Are there any people getting, is there a song? And then,
hymns?
And I made a, just, this is me, as you well know, but I was like, is there a seal that's going to jump through a hula hoop? I said, whatever those things are, I just need to know what they are.
Sure.
And so she and I are laughing a little bit. So bear in mind, I've never met this young lady who I'm doing the funeral for her mother, which is fine. So I go back into the office, and she said, the funeral director said, so what do you have in mind for this service? And I was like, well, I don't have anything in mind. I think my job was just to come and just be the officiant, right? And to say and do my thing.
Yeah.
And all the information I had to go on was her mother's name. I don't know anything about her. I don't know if she's a convicted felon. I don't know anything. So that's fine. I could dance around all that without knowing it. And I said, honestly, if you can go grab Jennifer, let's just talk to her.
Right. Yeah.
And so bear in mind, this is about 15 minutes before the service starts.
Okay.
But I'm not panicked.
Wait, so I don't mean to interrupt your story, but there's no printout. Usually you pick up a program.
That's the order of service I was asking for. They don't have it. Which there, I'm sure there is one, right? Because
I'm already so stressed.
We have only gotten about 8% into the stress level.
This is already so bad.
Okay. But I'm still calm and cool.
This drives me crazy.
So let me state again, I'm a professional. I can improvise. Yeah. I'm a jazz guy. I'm not a classical guy. So I can improvise. Yeah. Okay. And I can roll with whatever. It does not matter. It's good. So Jennifer comes into the office with me.
Okay.
And I said, hey, once again, thank you so much for having me. I said, can you just kind of give me an idea on the structure of just kind of how things are going to go? I know they don't have an order of service. So tell me what you're wanting to do. She's like, well, now bear in mind, this is 15 minutes.
Before it starts.
Yeah. 6:00 is when this funeral kicks off.
People are showing up.
Oh, people are. And I haven't seen anybody yet. I don't know where they're gathering yet. I'm just in the office in the back. And this is a big funeral home. Okay. So there's a lot of different rooms and stuff like that. So I'm in the office, and now it's the funeral director and Jennifer. And she's like, well, we really don't have anything. I haven't really thought about like how this would go. And I said, okay. I said, well, let me ask you. I said, what? I said, who's going to read the eulogy? And she's like, do the eulogy. She's like, well, I was thinking about doing it, but I don't know if I can make it through. And I said, okay, so we don't have a service right now. I said, which is fine. I can go out and just do my part. Don't feel any pressure.
Right.
She's mourning the loss of her mother. Yeah. I don't want to put stress on her, which is fine. I can go out and do my thing. If that's all you want, we can do that. I said, but I really believe you should do the eulogy, and here's why. You're going to look back on this day and regret that you didn't do it.
Yeah.
Do it for yourself. Do it. Yeah. I said, you'll be glad that you did. I said, I'll be there. And if you break down and cry, it's a memorial service. No one's going to be surprised by that.
Everyone's crying.
Yeah. And she's like, oh, thank you. Okay. All right. I'll do the eulogy. And I'm like, good. I said, is there anybody that you would want to come up? I'm putting the service together right here. I said, is there anybody that you would like to come up before I get up to maybe give a word of some sort? This is what she's meant to me and blah, blah, blah. She said, I don't know. Let me go ask. I'll be right back. Oh my God. I was like, cool. So I'm still chill. I'm like, okay, we'll make this run. And so she comes back like 3 minutes later. She's like, okay, Hector's going to say something about my mom, and Olga is going to say something about my mom or whatever. And I'm like, okay, great. That's wonderful. I said, so I'll get up. I'll say, welcome. Thank you for being here today. This is time for Jennifer to come up and give the eulogy. You give the eulogy. Hector and Olga are going to say their things. I said, is there anything beyond that you have in mind or you would like to do? Now, bear in mind, the clock's ticking. This funeral is supposed to start now, like in 9 minutes.
She wants a seal.
She has, and you know, as fortune would allow, I had one in my trunk. So
thank
a live seal. So anyway, she's like, no, I think that's about it. And then you can do your thing, and then if you can close. And then I was like, is there any announcements afterward you want me to make?
Sure, reception.
And so anything like that. And she, blah blah blah. She's like, no, I think that's it. Funeral director's there, and I'm like, okay, we got ourselves a service, not a problem. 7 minutes, probably max. Okay, before this, and I'm like, great. So I readjust my notes. I put in their names. We're good to go. The funeral director. So Jennifer leaves, and the funeral director says, "I'll come back and get you when it's time." And because people are still coming in, all the rest of stuff. I said, okay, not a problem. I said, I'm not going anywhere. She said, are you okay? And I'm like, I'm totally fine. This is great. We got this. Yeah. So I was sitting there, and she said, I'll come back and get you. Well, in passing, she said, basically what will happen is when you do come out, there's going to be, her mother loved Barry Manilow, and there's Barry Manilow songs playing right now before the service. But once the Barry Manilow music stops, that's when you get up, and then we open up the service. I said, got it. No problem. So,
I love that.
So now Jennifer comes back briefly, and she's like, okay, so thank God we still have an hour before this starts. And so just relax. Do you need anything? And I said, I'm fine. I said, and I can do it at 7 too. I thought this started at 6. And she's like, oh, well, hold on. So she brings the funeral director back in. She's like, what time was this supposed to start? And the funeral director said, well, it's scheduled. Oh, guys, it's about to get way worse.
How? Literally how?
Oh, you just hang tight. So
buckle up.
So then The funeral director goes, no, sweetheart. It starts at 6. It's starting in a minute. And she's like, oh my gosh. Okay. And so she leaves. Jennifer leaves. And the funeral director said, I'll be back in a minute to get you. I said, okay. Because I don't know where I'm going to go.
Yeah.
I don't know where this funeral's at. I mean, it's a big place, right? With lots of different rooms.
Sure.
So now I'm looking at my clock on my iPad and I'm ready to, like a little man, give my little sermon. And it's like 6:01.
Okay.
Well, the funeral's supposed to start at 6, and these funeral homes don't play around.
Yeah.
Like they're there for you, but they're a volume dealer. You get in, you get out. We got someone else, So I'm like, that's weird. Like no one's come back, and I wait another minute or two, and I'm like, I'm just going to take control of this because this is what I do.
This
okay.
is nuts.
So I walk out of the office by my lonesome. Okay. And you could tell this place has been added on over the last 100 years. So none of the hallways make any sense. Okay.
This is like a weird dream.
This is what Sarah, my wife, said. This is what she said. She was like, this sounds like a stress dream. It was definitely a stress dream come to life.
But in real,
It's about to get worse. So, true story. So I walk out into the hallway. There's no lights on. Mm-hmm. So the hallways are dark. And then I just start going from room to room where you can have a funeral and they're empty. But then I hear this faint sound of music. And I'm like, well, so I hear this faint sound of music. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to follow the music.
Yeah.
So I'm walking, making my way through these mazes of hallways that aren't lit. And then I come up to these double doors and I can hear the music on the other side. I'm like, okay, this has got to be it. So I'm not paying attention to what music is playing because I'm not a Barry Manilow aficionado. I'm just like, I hear music. This has got to be where it's at. But the double doors that I walked in through were in the very, very front of the chapel part. And so there's probably 100 people in there. It is stone quiet in there. I walk through the front, so now I'm in front of the entire congregation or the people there, okay? And bear in mind, they have never laid eyes on me before.
And you've never laid eyes on them.
That part is fine. They just don't know what is the white bald guy. Who is he? And I walked in, and I see them, and I'm serious, Venus. They were all just like staring at me, watching me walk across the very front of the whole chapel. I put my iPad on the lectern and I sit down because the music's playing. Bear in mind, when the music stops, that's when you get up.
Yes.
Okay. So I'm like, that's fine. This is a little weird, but we got this and no big deal. So I'm sitting there on the chair and everybody's still looking at me. I'm not being paranoid. Everyone's still looking at me like I have a third eye on my head. And I'm sitting there and I'm kind of just like low key checking the crowd out. I'm like, what is their freaking problem? Right? I get it. You don't know who I am, but I am supposed to be here.
Yeah.
And I'm going to be running this thing in a second. So y'all need to chill out a little bit. So I'm sitting there, but then I start paying attention to the music. It's not Barry Manilow. It's Tejano.
Oh, no.
Emilio or whoever is like singing overhead. And I'm sitting there and then the panic sets in because I'm like,
oh my word.
So what I do is I'm starting to survey the room looking for this funeral director that I've been dealing with because I need to make eye contact with her. Like, are we good?
Yeah. But if she's not over that funeral,
guess what? She's not in that room. There's another funeral director in there. Mm-hmm. And now I'm sitting there and I'm like, oh my gosh, am I in the wrong funeral?
Oh my God.
And I'm sitting there. My hands are getting sweaty talking about it because now I'm starting to get, normally I can roll, I can improvise, I can moonwalk out of situations. I'm good at that.
One, though.
But I'm sitting down with a suit on in a funeral and all these mourners are there and there's an urn on the table and it's dead quiet in there with Emilio playing or Selena or whoever is on. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, oh, how do I get out of this?
And you've put your iPad down too.
I've taken ownership. And so I've marked my territory. So I'm sitting there and I'm like, how do I get out of this? Or at least how can I verify that I'm in the right room?
Well, I don't think you are.
And there's no one there for me to be able to draw off of. But bear in mind, the funeral director said when the music stops, you got to get up. That's your time to get up and introduce and open the whole thing up. Tejano turns off. And I sit there. I sit there and I'm still looking for some semblance of because now I may be getting up and introducing a funeral for this person. It's not the right person.
So bad.
So right, where's the other pastor?
Because here's the edge of the cliff. I could just go for it, but there will be a moment where someone goes, "This is not Augustina's wedding or funeral. What are you doing?" And so the stakes are at max, and I'm sitting there, and the music stopped, and I sat there for like 45 seconds in dead silence. And I'm like, well, here goes nothing. So I get up, and I said, I didn't say the name of the family's last name because I still didn't know if I was even talking to the right crowd. So I said, well, on the behalf of the family, we just want to thank you so much for being here today. And I'm like, I still don't know if I'm in the right room. By God's grace, the lady who reached out to me, who goes to Great Oaks, who said, can you do this funeral?
Is there?
I looked into the middle of the crowd and I saw her sitting there, and I just switched the gear and no one knew the difference.
Oh my God.
But I will tell you, that was rough.
And not very mellow.
Can you believe that story?
No.
I want to throw up.
I know.
So
I
bad.
do too.
That's so bad.
It's like we need to pause and go to the bathroom and puke.
Dude.
But I honestly, I mean, dear Lord, like here's the problem with it. Forget David Martin for a second and the stress and the weirdness of what it does for me. Imagine your loved one is in an urn on the table and you're there to mourn their loss.
Yep.
And some idiot is standing at the podium. Do you see what I'm saying? Jacking up the one time there's only one funeral. You can't do it over. Yep. And this moron has to go, well, thank you so much for your time. I'm sure the real minister is going to show up in any minute. Y'all just hang tight. Can we put back on Sop Sop Sapo? And then I walk out the door like an idiot. That was what was about to happen.
Right. If it was
very easily could have happened. And it was the right funeral. Thank you. Jesus hooked me up. But I've never had a situation like that.
But that's in large part, the funeral home.
Without a doubt.
1,000%.
I've planned a funeral.
Yeah.
And they walk you through. They go, okay, you want this package? It's this much money, and it's going to come with these things, and this is the run of show, and these are the yada, yada, yada.
They walk the family through it because the families don't know how to do this.
Because they plan it all day. We, as families, don't do that very often.
So Sarah was like, what kind of funeral director doesn't set all this stuff? They're called a funeral.
No plan, no program.
A funeral director.
Correct.
That's your title, which assumes you're going to direct the funeral. Anyway, it all worked out. But boy, I got in the car and I was so, that's when my adrenaline dump happened. I was so exhausted on the way. I was just like, I just want to go stare at a wall. I'm so exhausted. So anyway, that happened. So there you go.
That's quite the roller coaster of the story.
And let me say, no hyperbole in this whatsoever. That's exactly what happened. Exactly what happened. It wound up being a very beautiful memorial service for her mother, and it sounded like her mother was a wonderful lady, and we remember her and thank her for her service and all the things that she's done as a human being. And yeah, that was strange, but it happened. It was great, and there you go.
Well, such
is the life. Such is the life of a pastor. Can I just share one more?
Sure.
This is. We're going to take the whole.
Take another one.
What's that?
I don't know if I can handle another one.
Well, this one didn't involve me. So once again, I do way more funerals and memorial services than I'd like, for sure.
For sure.
And to varying levels of degrees of how I know the family and stuff like that. So there was this one funeral I did about 6 months ago. And I knew the family. I was in the right place. I was sober, all the things that you need. And so anyway, I did it. It was great. But sometimes the family wants me to then go to the graveside and be there and just kind of, I typically just read Psalm 23 and, it's a very small thing. Mm-hmm. That I do. And then this is their moment to say their final goodbyes. And it's a very sobering thing. But there was this when I say old, he was an old guy, funeral director. And we're by the grave. And this sweet family, they didn't have a lot of money. So this graveyard was it was just a very sad graveyard. And out in the middle, like in Pleasanton or something like that. Anyway, so I'm talking to this graveyard guy or the funeral director who's now there, and the family is starting to say their goodbyes and take their time like that. And me and the funeral director are away enough to where we're not going to disrupt that. Yeah. But he said something to me that was a little bit funny, not about the funeral, but just in general, and kind of I was like, oh, this guy's kind of fun, and so I said, I bet. You have. I said, how long have you been doing this? He said, I've been doing this for 50 years. I said, wow. I said, I bet you got some stories. I would, because there's so many, I'm sure this is what he sees, all the crazy stuff. He said, you know what? I'll tell you what happened about 2 months ago in this very graveyard. And he said, it's a funeral. We're doing the burial. He said there's this moment where the family can elect to kind of take some dirt out of a little bucket and like put it on the casket and, say their goodbyes. He said, this is horrible. I'm laughing and I maybe shouldn't be, but this is just crazy. He said there was a lady who, there was a lady who walked up to put the dirt in the graveyard. Now, on the grave, which is, bear in mind, it's 6 feet down. Yeah. Okay. She goes over there to put her little dirt in, and I guess she wanted to say one final word, to the casket. So she kind of leaned over, but she leaned over too much, and she fell in the grave. Oh no! She fell in the grave. Okay, now she's on top of the coffin, 6 feet down, and then he leaned over, and she's like, "What am I gonna do? How do I get out of here?" He was like, honey, you fell in. You got to figure out how to get yourself out. He said, I'm not helping you.
The funeral director?
Yeah, because he's like 80. She would pull him in. He would probably die, and they just put him in the coffin.
Just keep putting dirt.
So he knows that's how I ain't getting into this. You figure this out. He said she took her heels off.
Oh,
and started digging
I would do the
in
same.
the dirt with her heels to pull herself up to get back out of the grave. Oh my gosh. Anyway, that's another story. So, all right. Oh my
gosh.
Where are we going today? Because I could keep talking about these horrible stories.
Oh my gosh, that's hilarious. Today, we are going to talk about, and we're really going to start what's going to be a new series. And so I'm super excited for this.
Oh, I can't wait.
But essentially, I just kind of want to lead with relationships. So relationships is what we're going to talk about.
Okay.
Something that is one of the most important things, right? We deal with relationships in every aspect of our life, whether it's friendships or dating, or marriage, divorce, all of those things.
Yeah.
And so we're really going to just kind of get into what is God's best for my relationship?
Yep.
How can relationships be formed in a way that really honors and pleases the Lord? And also, how do we navigate later on in the series? We'll kind of touch on how do we navigate when relationships get tricky and can really be painful and leave us with a lot of hurt. Yep. And we have to face moving on as well.
Okay. This is...
Yeah.
Yes. Oh, I'm so glad we're going to be talking about these topics.
Yeah, me too. So really today, what we're going to talk about though, is the beginning stages of that. Mm-hmm. And that's how do I choose the right relationship? And so what does that look like? I've got tons of questions for you.
Oh, good.
I'm very, very excited for this one, actually.
I love this, Venus. Yeah. Come on, let's jump in.
So
what do you want to know? Welcome, everybody.
Welcome, you guys. Thank you for hanging out with us for this long. This is episode...
I have no idea.
16, I think.
Yeah,
I think we're on 18 now.
Oh.
Yeah, so...
Don't quote me.
Who's counting?
Whatever. At this point, it's another episode, and we're so glad that this is meaningful to you guys.
Yes.
And let's talk about relationships.
Yeah. And also, too, as we continue, as we begin to talk about this, I think what's really important to know is to continuously, and we'll probably talk about this a lot, is as we're forming these relationships and as we're finding what God's best is and what God's will is for these things, we always want to go back to our identity in Christ, which we just talked about. So this is a great, just kind of a great segue to move into what our next thing is.
For sure.
Yeah. And so we just want to continue to shift that focus, that it's not always about our relationships, but where our identity falls to. So do you want me to just kind of
let's just jump in, see where we start, see where we end.
Okay, cool. So the first question that I think people ask a lot, and so some of these questions are going to be geared as what we might hear people say, and then what is a way to shift what they're saying, and also what is a way to just shift the focus of that, shift our framework on that, and then we can answer them a little bit too. But the first one is, we often hear people say, am I looking for someone to complete me instead of walking whole? And then the other one, is it okay to deeply desire a marriage? And I am not on the wrong notes.
You're not on the wrong notes?
I'm on the wrong.
Oh, you're on the wrong notes.
Yeah.
Well, those are great questions that we will answer at some point in the future.
Yes. You guys, I have 30 pages of notes for today.
Oh my God. You do have quite the stack.
I have a stack.
Yeah.
So hang on. I just want to get this right for you guys. Awkward.
No, it's not awkward at all.
Funeral story.
That's right.
But I guess
you have fallen into the podcast grave, and now you're having to dig yourself out.
You have to dig yourself out of it.
honey, I ain't gonna help you. You got yourself in there. You get yourself out.
That's right.
All right.
No, the first question I actually want to talk about is, I think my initial thought is, we see this a lot with our young adult community, but this affects everybody, just depending on where you're at. But the first question is, how do I know if I'm ready to date?
Okay.
And so what are some maybe key factors? Because I don't know, do you think that just because you hit a certain age, you're ready to date? Or is there a certain level of maturity that comes with that? Or might there be some checklist items that we need to touch on before we can say, I think you're ready to start dating?
Yeah. There's several different things that come to my mind.
Yeah.
So the question is, how do I know when I'm ready to date?
Yeah.
Okay. You're probably the last person you should be asking.
Yes.
In all fairness.
No, I agree.
Right. When I say that, generically speaking, when someone goes, am I ready to date? You are not really the one you need to be asking, because we can have a false sense of readiness, or have a false sense of some sort of a poor opinion of yourself, right? Because someone can go, I'm ready to date. And typically when we say we're ready to date, is because we want to be loved by somebody, right? And there's nothing wrong with this. Let's just open this up and let's frame this out a little bit. So if I say I'm ready to date, what we're saying is I'm ready to be loved, and I'm also ready to love someone else, right? That doesn't mean you're ready to date.
Right.
It just means that you are in a place where you would long to have some sort of deeper relationship with somebody that's meaningful and maybe long lasting, right? And then, of course, you have to define what date even looks like. Does this mean you're just going out for ice cream and a movie, or is dating any other thing, right? And so, like the kids say, this is what's so funny. I'm talking to this person. Right? Well, I talk to a lot of people, and I'm not dating any of them. But that's just a semantic thing. But all that to say, if you have friends and relatives in your life that know you and love you, and they also are fairly balanced people, right? They should probably, without controlling you and telling you how to live your life, but they should be able to have a voice to be able to provide some texture to your question
Yeah.
to help you round out that subjective thing in you where you go, I think I'm ready to date. Well, talk to a trusted friend or someone who's discipling you or in a church context,
Yes.
right? So let's keep it there
Yes.
because honestly, the world's version of what that question means, people are going to tell you all sorts of crazy stuff. So let's keep it within the framework of biblical community. Your pastor. I'll give you a story. Yesterday, I'm in the lobby. This is right to your question. Yesterday in the lobby, this individual came to me who I love, who I know. I've seen their journey. They've gone through a lot of heartbreak and loss in their lives. They're more in the age group that I am. Okay, and desperately wants to be loved. Desperately wants to love someone else. And there's maybe even a little bit of naive quality to the idea of what love is, and just I need to be seen, loved. I want to hold somebody. I want them to hold me. Right?
Yeah.
Those are legitimate desires. I'm not dismissing it. But if we're so fixated on I need someone or I need to be needed, we can really lower our standards to the point where you may be ready to date, but your choice to whom you date is probably more important. So I've walked with this individual in this journey, and so this individual came to me yesterday and said, Pastor David, I got to tell you, I got a smile on my face today. And I said, oh, I'm so glad. Why are you so happy? He said, I met someone on Facebook dating last night. And he said, we talked to about 2 a.m. last night, and we have so much in common. And he just began to open this up, and it's great. I pray that this is the one that the Lord has sent him. Please hear my heart. Yeah. I'm not being cynical, but to this question, he would say he's ready to date. But what I was beginning to hear were a couple of red flags or concerns that I heard, because he was so enamored and thankful to have this female attention and this interaction and this, what seems to be in the first conversation off this person off of Facebook, seemed to be a lot of common shared interests in these types of things, right? And I said, man, I'm happy for you. But he's asking David Martin. And so David Martin is also going to tell him, you also, let's pull you out of the clouds for 1 minute. Let me rain on your parade a tad. I said, I think this is great, but here's the issue. You don't know who this person is at all. You've never met this person. And the only advice that I felt in my spirit he was willing to hear was one thing. I said, do not give this woman 1 dime of your money. That's what I told him. And his face looked just like that. He's like, I said, do not give her a dime. And I said it like 3 different times in this conversation because he's ready to date.
Yeah.
He's enamored. She likes me. And apparently, blah, 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 blah.
Right.
You know, and so where I'm going with this is to this question is like, just because you think you're ready to date does not mean that you are. And if you are ready to date, the better question is, where's my standard of who I want to date, right? Because there's some thirsty folks out there, and we have singles in our congregation that maybe aren't in the dating pool of, or maybe they're not as viable as they once were because of their age or their income or season of life and these types of things. And if we're not careful, we can begin to lower that standard because we're ready to date.
Right.
And then all of a sudden we'll compromise and turn a blind eye to anything because we want to be seen, known, and loved. And we want to be able to provide whatever version of that to that person.
Yeah.
And you just can see where the problems start coming in, which is why, going back to the point I was making, if you have a pastor, you have a brother or a sister in Christ, people who know you, let them start filling in those blanks because they can see you differently than you see yourself or your heart can see.
Yes.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. Well, then I think too, like to your point of like wanting to be seen, wanting to feel loved, wanting to give love. I think sometimes if we're not careful, we can use that to fill a void, right?
Correct.
So we can think, I'm ready to date, that might not necessarily be true, but it might be you do desire to feel love, and we want you to feel those things.
Sure.
But what is it's almost a little bit like the under the hood that we talk about a lot.
That's right.
Like, is there a void that needs to be filled, or would you that you feel dating would fill for you?
Sure.
Or is there no, I'm okay. I'm not filling a void necessarily, but there's just that level of like ready to give more.
That's a very good point. And I think that's really well put, because underneath it, not for everybody, but in the spirit of what we're talking about right here, loneliness is a bear. And there is an epidemic of loneliness in the world.
Yeah.
Not even just in the United States. There's an epidemic of loneliness globally. And we are wired by God for relationship. And so God is pro relationship.
Yes.
Primarily relationship with him, but relationships with others, right? And so because so many people are so lonely, it's a void, right? And so if a Christian who deals with loneliness, I understand that is a burden. That house is quiet. No one's texting you, right? Yeah. You're just making soup at night for dinner, and you're watching something on TV or scrolling TikTok. And there's only so much you can do with that as a person. And you're just like, no one sees me. I'm so alone. And so that's difficult. So loneliness highlights the hunger for relationship. But how we go about it and discerning if we're ready to date somebody is that is probably going to require other people in your life. And I just go back to that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. And I don't think there's anything wrong with asking that. Like, I feel like someone might hear that and go, well, that's a weird question to ask my friends, or like, I don't want to ask people that. But I don't think that there's anything like weird or wrong about it. I think you would want to come in the best, like, clean slate, clean mind, right? And so like to protect your heart and also to protect the hearts of others that you might go into looking for relationships with too. And I think that does kind of go back to the question that I accidentally asked, but now it does make sense to ask it though. But like, are we looking for people? I guess one of the like check your heart, check your situation questions. Are we looking for people to fill a void? I'm sorry, not to fill a void, but to complete me, or am I already whole? And again, just looking for like that next thing. And that's not the right way to put it either.
I think it is.
Okay.
No, I think it is. I track with that.
Okay.
So here's the thing. I mean, the Jerry Maguire quote from whatever the name of that movie was, you don't even know what I'm talking about because you're so young.
No,
but there's this movie. Oh, the name of the movie is called Jerry Maguire. Yeah. And so, so I need more coffee. But in the movie, there was this moment towards the end where whoever it is, I think
I'm just
Tom
a girl.
Cruise, maybe. Anyway, it doesn't matter. The two main characters in the movie, there's this moment where they realize they love one another, and I believe Tom Cruise tells Zellweger, says, listen, you complete me. It's this big phrase in the movie. It's the big, show me the money and you complete me are the two big phrases from this movie that just went viral before things went viral. Everybody said it. And the entire theater, when he says, you complete me, all the women went, oh my gosh. And it sounds so good. And the reason why I think it touches people like that is because honestly, deep down inside spiritually, we want the Lord to say that to us. But if we don't know the Lord, then the best next thing is this idea of another human being completing us.
Right.
And so we take this naive, unrealistic idea of you complete me, you complete me. That sounds wonderful and is wildly dangerous for your heart to think that. Because what happens when you get married and then you realize you've married another flawed, jacked up person like you, even at our best, right?
Yeah,
we all got our things, wounds, hurts, habits, hangups, leaving cabinet doors open in the in the kitchen. So all of a sudden you realize, well, I don't feel like this person is completing me as much. What you're saying is you're my savior. I'm not complete without you.
Yeah, that's the dangerous part for sure.
It's super dangerous because the problem is that you're putting a God-sized expectation on another human being. And there is a default setting in every relationship where it will begin to implode the moment you rely too much on this person for your identity, for your source of love, for your source of affirmation. It is built into every relationship, even the best of them, where there is a line that once you ebb over and you begin to see this person as filling the role of God with unconditional love, all these types of things, that's when you will start seeing the thing fall apart.
Yeah.
You can be compatible. You can be in love. Those are all God-given things. He does that. He makes it. However, when we say you complete me, you're making a God statement, and the clock will begin to tick in that relationship before it starts falling apart.
Yeah. And it's just such an unrealistic expectation to put on another person and to put on yourself too, that you have to be the person to complete somebody, and that someone is incomplete without you. And what happens if you're gone, or any of those things.
Sure.
Like, then a breakup happens and your heart is crushed because this person was the person, right?
Yep.
And so I even think like in scripture, right, as we look at like Matthew 6:33, seek first the kingdom and his righteousness, and all of these things will be, all these things will be added unto you. But if you're following God and you're seeking him first and you're seeking his will for your life, then he will begin to direct those steps, right? He will begin to direct what dating should look like, who dating should be with. And so, I just think like going back to the foundation of, in this context that we're talking about it, relationships are so important, and God created them and he has great intent for them. But we can't give somebody a God stance. Only God is God, and only he can complete what you're looking. He completes you, but not a relationship.
Yeah. And the real love is actually going to show up, real love as God defines it, when two things are in place in that relationship. When David dies to my idea of what I would want from my spouse or girlfriend, I got to die to that, right? The second thing that I have to do is to, in that death of my expectations and my dreams, and I know this sounds so cynical and unromantic, but it's true. When I die to those things, the other thing that I need to do, if we're going to talk about true love here, I have got to love this flawed person who I'm saying is my girlfriend or wife. I've got to love them with the love of Christ. What is the love of Christ? It's quick to forgive. It's slow to anger. Does not keep a record of wrongs. All the areas where they fail in the sense that I wanted them to complete me, and the God expectations we put on people to be our saviors, right? When I say saviors of our hearts.
Yes.
And we want all these things, and there's nothing wrong with that, but it's directed at the wrong person. And so when you realize they will wake up with bad breath, and they will do things that irritate you, they will even say things that hurt you, and all of us, this is normal relationships, right? Even in the best of them have these elements in them. All of a sudden, what it's incumbent upon you is then to love that person in spite of their personality defects, quirks, and issues.
Yeah.
And that's what true love is. The other version of love, the world's version of love, is what are you? I'm going to love you for ultimately what you can do for me, because I need you to complete me. So it's a very self-centered approach to a relationship.
Yeah.
How are you going to make my life the best?
Right.
Well, that's a pretty self-centered perspective of love, right?
Yeah.
And relationship.
Yeah.
And so if we follow the model of Jesus, he didn't come to be served,
But to serve.
Yeah. So if we want real love, those are the avenues that we have to begin to allow the Holy Spirit to give us the grace to be able to love like Jesus loved. And in that death to self, where I go, it's not about me. I'm here to serve my wife. I'm here to love my wife. I'm here to extend grace to my wife, whatever those things are. Then all of a sudden, the true love begins to actually show up in that marriage or that relationship.
Yeah.
Serving one another, deferring to one another.
Yeah.
That's where you start seeing all that. But I'm sure we will get into that in subsequent episodes.
Yeah.
But that's where my mind goes.
Yeah. It will, and even as you're speaking, I'm listening, but I'm thinking of something too that I'm like, oh, this is probably better for another episode. But needless to say, it's on my mind right now. But I think that like society, I hear this all the time. Is society tells you, well, you need to be with somebody who's only going to bring you happiness. And the moment that you're not happy with that person, we're done. Right.
Yep.
And that's just it. As a Christian, that is not true. And that's why part of why I think that we see so many divorces and we see so many kids that are growing up in split households because we're looking at this angle of I'm supposed to be happy. I'm supposed to be, my needs are supposed to be fulfilled. My wants are supposed to be met. And that's just not true. And it's like, even in relationships, but also even as we look at our relationship with Christ, He cares about your happiness, but your happiness is not the most important thing to him. And also it's not going to be the most important thing in a marriage, in a relationship. And speaking that, I think you agree with what I'm saying too. Like as two people who are married and are in different walks of our marriages, anybody that's probably been married for 30 minutes can attest to
Right.
You're not always going to be happy.
Right.
But
1 Corinthians 7 literally says that.
yeah, like you're
Yeah.
happy. I'm sorry, but we just aren't called to always be happy. And that's in every relationship and in everything that we do in life,
Sure.
right? Like I've heard people say that about as it pertains to their jobs and as it pertains to this or that. Like we believe, or not we believe, but society tries to tell you that you have to, your happiness has to be met. And it's just not true.
No.
And so if you're starting to look into the dating world and maybe you are going on dates or you're Facebook dating or whatever it may be, if it really is something that you're like enjoying this relationship, but they do one thing that doesn't make you happy, like, I'm sorry, but don't give up on that necessarily.
One of the worst pieces of advice that I have heard in the last 10 years, and the context in which it was shared is typically, it was the streams that I see on Instagram are a lot of church related type content, right? Yeah. And I have seen over and over and over again, go where you're celebrated. That's the worst advice. Because it's to your point.
Yeah.
Just, hey, cut the cord. If you're not happy here, you got to get out. Go where you're celebrated. Excuse me.
Yeah.
Excuse me, what? I'm so glad Jesus didn't abide by that.
Yep. Exactly.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
He died on a cross innocent. They tortured him. They ignored him. They marginalized him. They threw him under the bus. The religious people gossiped and hated his guts. I'm so glad Jesus didn't apply that, right? So this whole go where you're celebrated, you deserve better. No, we don't.
Yes.
No, we don't.
We really don't.
And what I would say, and maybe I'll disagree with this when I listen back to it, if that's your approach to life, go where you're celebrated and only hang around people that say yes to everything about you, you're not ready to date. You know what I'm saying?
No, I don't think you'll disagree with that. I think that is true.
I think I
agree.
Yeah.
Because you have to be willing to also accept that you're not like the bee's knees, right? You were not the best thing since sliced bread.
No, you're not.
There are
none of us are.
Right.
By the way, none of us are bread.
And some of us can't eat bread.
Yeah.
So, okay, great. And I think kind of growing and from there, but moving into the next thing too, how do we know as people who we're ready to date, who am I looking to date? How do I know the right kind of person that God wants me to date?
Yep.
Is there the one? Like, I think we should really have a conversation about that.
Yes.
So first, like, you know what? I think let's start there. Like, is there such thing as a soulmate? Is there a God created me and this person and we were destined to be together?
Oh, I can't wait to share this answer because I know that there's going to be so many people that disagree with me on this, and that's okay. Once again, these are just opinions. We're having conversations.
Yeah.
I had no idea we're going to be talking about this
know.
today, and we do that on purpose. I do that on purpose because I really don't want to know. I just want to like respond.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Let's see if we even agree.
Okay. So is God sovereign? Yes, he is.
Mm-hmm.
He already knows the end from the beginning. We know that about our stories, our lives. He's outside of time. He already sees the whole story. Okay. That is true. He does give us free will. I used to subscribe. So here's the answer. No, I don't believe there is the one, if you want to know the truth. What I used to believe is that there is the one. And on some level, that may be true to a degree. Okay. So that is it's a little bit slippery here.
Okay.
But I think that to a degree, there is the one only in the sense that God knows who you're going to choose.
Okay.
The one you will choose. He knows that. And he knows your path. And ultimately, if you're seeking his will, your path will cross with the one that he will allow you to enter into a relationship with.
Yeah.
The idea, though, that there is one person out of 8.5 billion people on planet Earth, only one, and you're going to have to connect. I believe the Lord does ordain relationships. Please don't mishear anything that I'm saying.
Right.
He says yes to them. But where I'm going is going back to the point right before this, where if you marry, you will have trouble. 1 Corinthians 7. What we have to understand is the one. No, God is the one.
Yeah.
Right? He's the one that's been pursuing you your whole life, and your paths have crossed. He's the one.
Yeah.
Now, relationally, here's what I've learned in going on 31 years of marriage. Okay. Sarah is the one I married. I believe the Lord wanted David and Sarah to be married. Was she the one? Here's what I've learned. I think I could have married one of 10 girls that I dated before Sarah. And they would have had their own things. But all the crap inside of David Martin, all of his dysfunction, the blind spots that I didn't even know were there, all the things, you complete me, all this immaturity and all the things within me, it would not have mattered who I had married. If I was seeking the Lord, he would have dealt with these issues with any of the other 9 that I dated before. Do you see what I'm saying? And I would have walked through the same patterns and also heartbreaks and disappointments that I also have experienced. And I'm speaking for me. Sarah has her own story where she could say the same thing. I'm just simply saying it would have been worked out in any of these.
Yep.
So I could be sitting here saying, Julie, my wife, da 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 da, and I would have. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I think we need to define what we mean one means. Is this my soulmate?
Right.
When the Bible talks about marriage, the Scripture talks about marriage being a mystery. To where there's this moment where 2 individuals walk and stand at the altar as 2 individuals, and somehow, somewhere in the middle of the exchanging of these vows, right? Not just nice romantic things. These are vows that the kingdom and the governance of heaven says, we seal this. We approve of this.
Yeah.
In that moment, you become one.
Yeah.
And it is a reflection and a picture of what our relationship is with Christ.
Yeah.
So the 2 become one, right? That's what Jesus says. Okay, well, you may not have married the one, because I don't think the one exists, but now you are one.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
And so it's not a singular one there and a singular one here, and the 2 ones found each other.
Right.
No, you're now one. And whatever the Lord's going to ultimately do through and in you in this marriage, as you hopefully pursue the Lord together, they're the one.
Yep.
So I've been doing counseling, which I've really enjoyed, by the way. I never did counseling before, really, as a pastor up until recently. But
Like you are counseling.
I'm sorry. I am counseling couples. And we last Thursday, I was speaking with someone about a similar, in the same vein that we're talking about. And this individual is going through a rough time. They're newly married and they're just running into a lot of brick walls. And sure enough, can you imagine what the issues are? Disappointment. I didn't realize this person was like this. I didn't realize the person was like that. And so now there's all these things, right? Issues and disappointments and frustrations, and they're legitimate, by the way. I get that. Welcome to marriage. But this person's mother says, honey, you deserve better than this. Now, this lady, God bless her, all respect. I'm sure I'd love her if I knew her.
Yeah, sure.
She's a woman of God. But when you plant a seed like that, what are you really saying? Forget the fact that you make covenant vows with this man in the eyes of God. Forget all that. You deserve better than this.
Yeah.
Can I tell you? I've had that said to me over the course of my marriage too by people who love Jesus and love me. Do I really deserve better? Maybe on the surface level, maybe. Sure, we should speak respectfully to one another and, all the things.
Sure.
Outside of what the Bible says, you can get divorced for these reasons. Everything else is like, well, sure, yeah. Who says that I deserve better? Last time I checked, before I came to the cross, I deserved hell. So I don't know how much I actually deserve.
Yep.
But people want what's best for you, and that's why they're saying that. But no, what we deserve is holiness as sons and daughters of God. And holiness can only be produced when heavenly sandpaper comes in and begins to smooth off these edges in us.
Yep.
Right? And I said, here's the thing. I said, let's just play this out. Let's say you deserve better. You should leave this guy because he's just not meeting the mark. Based on whose standard? We could talk about that.
Right.
But he's not meeting the mark in your estimation and you're disappointed and frustrated. Okay, cool. Well, what if you divorce him? Great, do that. Then get married to another person.
Who's also not going to
because you deserve better, right? Well, what happens if they're not ringing that bell either? Is your mom going to say you deserve better? How many people do you actually need to go through before you find the deserve better guy?
Right.
It's not going to happen.
Yeah.
So I don't even know what the question was, but that's where my mind goes. It's just like, and I say it, I did a wedding on Saturday. Actually, this couple had already gotten married in a private ceremony. They got married on Saturday in a church wedding. And I told them, I was on the altar, I said, listen, God's design for marriage is not for your happiness. It is for your holiness, which is of far greater value.
Yeah.
And it's not romantic, and it will never be in a movie like Jerry Maguire. But I can see how the Lord has really been faithful to make me more holy as a person through this gift called marriage. And it is a gift and it's a blessing.
Yeah.
And I love my wife.
Yeah.
But I love her for different reasons today than I did when we first started dating.
Yeah.
Right? Physical attraction and all the things that are beautiful on the front end of that's like a spark, right?
Yeah.
And I think it's God designed.
Yeah.
But then all of a sudden now you're doing life with one another and you're doing it with another individual with their own story, with their own heartbreaks, their own wounds, and all the rest of these things. And so instead of getting freaked out going, this person is letting me down, you go, oh, this is what real marriage looks like. I asked a couple, they had been married for 72 years. And I did his funeral about 2 months after this conversation. I was at their apartment, Bill and Barbara Harris. And I said, I have to ask this question. Y'all have been married for 72 years. I want to know your secret because I don't know many people married 72. Yeah. So what have you done? And this is what he said. He said, David, I'll tell you the success to our marriage. I serve my wife. She serves me. We both serve the Lord. He said, that's the secret to marriage right there. And I was like, I don't like that idea. I don't like that concept. But Mr. Bill, she's supposed to serve me, and she completes me, and she's supposed to meet my needs, right? No, you don't say that, because at the core of it, that's the answer.
Yeah. So
let's go back to the first question. How do I know when I'm ready to date? When you're ready to die.
Yeah.
When you're ready to die to yourself and make it not about you, but about the person you have said I do or I want to with.
Yeah.
And that's when you honestly know you're at a place of maturity, because it's no longer about you.
Yeah. And just kind of touching a little
Right?
touching a little bit on I fully agree with everything you've said. But going back to the one, right?
Yeah.
I think that is also part of, I think there's this romantic idea behind it. Like, there's this one soul that was destined to be with me. So I have to go on this journey and this hunt to find them. And then we find them and we're souls on fire. And it's beautiful, right? Again, it is something that society and culture has created. It is
That's right.
not, there is nowhere that I have seen in the Bible where it says there is this one person for you, right? And so again, we go back to, this is why I think we will find that I really have a heart for people, for marriages. So I'm going to go back to a lot of these things a lot throughout this series, but this is also part of why we see so much divorce, is because, again, we're going back to, well, this person just probably wasn't the one for me. I deserve better, right? And even when you were saying that, I think of, yeah, you might deserve better in terms of the respect, right? But
Sure.
that is, so, you know, like you said, maybe we talk to each other better, we could do these things better. But that comes from being intentional with each other, seeking counsel together, working again to achieve God's best and God's plan for this marriage and what that looks like. But and dating too, because we're not necessarily talking about marriage right now fully, right? We're on the beginning of it, but it isn't just, oh, I don't know, I don't like the way that they did this, so they must not be the one, you know? Or
Yes. And yes. So what I would say to that is, when you date people, and there are serial daters out there, for all the reasons, good or bad, but that is your window of opportunity to make these decisions, right? So do it and fine tooth comb and can I really be with this person? Here's what happens is, we will get enamored with dating, and we love the attention, we love the spark, and we will purposely ignore the red flags. So when I was counseling this sweetheart last Thursday, I said, look, because all the things that she was referencing, just when I say all the things, like 3 or 4 things that it's really, really bothering her in this season of marriage. They've been married for like 10 months. I said, can I just shoot straight with you? I said, I think you're on this call because you need to hear another perspective that you maybe haven't considered. I said, but here's the bottom line. All the things you're talking about, you saw those things, or you should have seen those things before you said I do. I said, so here's the problem now. You still decided to get on this boat with this guy. Now you have left the harbor. There's no turning back. You could have not gotten on the boat, but you chose to ignore or didn't investigate further, maybe, or whatever those things are. And I say this lovingly, but I mean, the truth is that you're on the boat with this person now. So you and the Lord are going to have to figure out how to make this work. As it is within your ability to do so. It is what it is. So if you're dating, then that's what we do. We turn our blind eye to all of these things. We go, because we're just so high and intoxicated on the dating part.
love and
And so we go, I do, and we'll figure it out, or I'll make him a better man, or I'll make her a better woman, and I can forgive that, I can overlook that. And then all of a sudden, the way that I describe it is, when Sarah and I built our home, there was, I can't remember, like a piece, I want to say it was a light switch, and it was just a little bit crooked. Okay. And we saw it, and we were under the gun to get the house inspected so we can move in, because we had to move out of our previous house. And when we walked through the house with the inspector, he said, put blue tape on anything that you want us to fix.
Right. And
so I put a piece of blue tape on that light switch, and he's like, here's the thing. He said, this is DR Horton. You know, they just want to get you in and out. They don't care. He said, here's the thing. It could actually, straightening that out could prevent us from being able to close with you on time. How bad does that light switch bother you? And because he said it's barely crooked. I said, here's what I will tell you. It doesn't bother me today, but I know me 10 years from now. And that thing is going to scream at
Yes.
me. Crooked, crooked, crooked. Every time I look at it, it's going to bother me. I said, so we got to get it straightened out. But funnily enough, he said, hold on, let me just look at it. He went over there and he just like pushed it real hard and put it into place. I was like, that's fine. It's fixed. So using the little light switch crooked, just a little bit example, the things that kind of bother you a little bit on the front end. When you're married to this person 10 years from now, this is going to be the worst thing you've ever dealt with in your life.
Yeah.
Because it's no longer cute. It's
Yeah.
a constant reminder this is not perfect. And so we need to pay attention to the red flags on the front end. Once again, having a pastor, people that you do biblical community with, because they also can speak into that relationship and go, hey, she's hot. I'll speak as a guy. She's hot. She's funny. She's cool. She's got all these things. But why is she constantly facing eviction?
Well,
You know, you need to pay attention to how she stewards money, because if she's not doing something right here, and if she's bouncing checks left and right, guess what? That is a crooked light switch. But you go, she's so beautiful. You don't understand. I can overlook that.
We can fix the money.
Until you try to buy a car 3 years from now after you're married and you got a 13 credit score. You know what I'm saying?
I do.
So all of a sudden that crooked lights, and so do the work on the front end.
Yeah. What are some red flags? And then we're talking a little bit about them. What are some red flags that you, as a pastor who has seen a lot of marriages, who has done a lot of marriages, officiated a lot of marriages, what are some that you can immediately think of, like, that you could probably generally tell someone this is a red flag in a relationship?
The biggest one that comes to my mind right off the bat is, because we want to be loved and we want to be loved back and all of these beautiful things. They're good things to desire.
Yeah.
But the problem is this. I see Christian people entering into serious relationships with other people who say they're Christian, have said they prayed the prayer, but that individual, it's almost like missionary dating. I'm going to date this person and get them to where they need to be spiritually.
Oh, I see.
Do you see what I'm saying? You know, that's a red flag. And you know deep down inside, this person isn't walking with the Lord. They could say whatever they want. I can say I'm a chair, but it doesn't mean that I actually am operating and functioning as one.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
And so when someone says, oh, he's a Christian. Oh, he goes to church. Where? Well, he kind of just comes, or he watches online or whatever. Don't get me wrong. But you know what I'm trying to say? Like, hold on.
Yeah.
So I would say that's the biggest one for a Christian is they go, well, they say he's a Christian, so he's got Jesus in him, and I'll help him, stop smoking weed and, doing this and doing that or whatever it may be. It's like, that's your red flag, man. No, you're dropping your standard. And because they said the right thing, you go, well, Lord's going to bless it. You're being dishonest with yourself.
Yeah.
Jesus said, you will know them by their fruits.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Right? So if there is no fruit, then I'm not saying they're not the one, quote unquote, but what I am saying is you need to pump those brakes big time and see, as beautiful and intriguing and exciting as they may be, are they walking with the Lord? Because what's going to happen is you're going to be on a Zoom call with me 5 years from now, and this guy or girl is not going to be wanting to go to church, or they're raising your children now with a different standard than what you wanted.
Right.
What I see, because I do counsel a lot of females, and I think it's because they're just more in touch with their emotions. Guys really don't want to talk. And so they will come to me via Zoom, and they now feel like they have to be the spiritual leader in the home. They have to be the one driving things forward. They're the ones taking the kids to church. They're the ones setting the standard of morality and God-centeredness in that family, while the husband doesn't do that.
Yeah.
I promise you, that just didn't come out of nowhere.
Yeah.
That guy, in this case, was doing exactly that before you married him.
Yeah.
And so now we got buyer's remorse, right? Just because the car is shiny does not mean it's going to be dependable.
Right. Yeah. I was going to say, I was also going to reference the fruits, right? And so when we're looking at relationships, when we're looking at people that we're dating, do they produce the fruits of the Spirit? Do they have those things within them? I heard this advice after I was married. It wouldn't change anything, but I love this piece of advice. Is from Craig Rochelle, but he was talking about dating and relationships and how, I guess, a little bit of kind of what we're talking about right now. But he was saying his advice was, if you walk in this line and you follow the Lord, and then you see this and you're serving the Lord and you're doing what the Lord's called you to do, and then you keep your eyes straight and you see another person that's like, you can see through your peripheral vision, right? Someone else that's walking the same line and following the Lord and serving the Lord. And then they kind of see you through their peripheral vision. So this might not be advice, but just like an imagery here. And then you two kind of see each other, you meet each other because you're both serving the Lord and because you both honor the Lord and love him and you seek him. Those are the best relationships that you can find, right? Is when you're doing your thing, you're following and serving, and you're not going out and looking for this relationship, but this relationship sort of just, I don't want to say falls into your lap because that's not necessarily true in any context, I don't think. But you're both seeking and serving and honoring the Lord. Then there's becomes this like, oh wow, we know we have the same values and beliefs, and we don't have to worry so much about, there's always going to be things that you have to deal with.
Oh,
you know,
always. Yeah.
But your foundation is equally yoked.
Yeah, because you're headed the same direction.
Correct. You're walking the same way.
Yeah.
And so actually, what do you believe that a Christian can date a non-Christian or should date? I mean, I guess you can, should you?
The advice that I would give is, I mean, they can. You can do it whatever you want, right?
Yeah.
You have free will. I would say, why? Why?
Right.
To what end?
Well, and to your point too, I think like when you're talking about like, oh, I can fix this person. This person says that they know God or, whatever their version of that is. We do sometimes, especially as a woman, we like to be fixers. And so we can think that we can fix this person and bring this.
Nurturers.
They're just not going to the right church. If they went to the church that I go to, then maybe it'd be different or whatever. So I can see a little bit of where people might want to take that challenge a little bit of being unequally yoked in their dating life. Yeah. But I mean, I also think in scripture we see it, right? Like in 2 Corinthians, we should not be with someone who is unequally yoked.
Correct.
Now it's different if it's in a marriage situation, right? We're not saying get out of a marriage necessarily, but from a dating standpoint.
That's right. Yes.
Just to be clear.
Yeah. So if someone said that to me, here's the question I would pose to them, because I'm sure someone listening is thinking maybe along those lines.
Right.
And it doesn't make them bad, doesn't make you bad. This is what I would say to you. Okay. I, as a pastor, by function of my role, if I'm doing my job right, I'm leading a lot of people to the place to where they can meet Jesus. You know what I'm trying to say? I'm not, but here's two things. Number one, I'm not the Holy Spirit, so I can't change anybody.
Yeah.
So the idea where you think you can do that job of changing somebody, get over yourself. You can't even change yourself.
Yeah.
Okay. The second thing is, why do you have to kiss this person in order to lead them to Christ? So here's the thing. If you really, because I'm calling BS here is what I'm ultimately doing. If you really care about that individual's soul, then lead them to Christ. But let's not prince or doll this thing up where as you kiss them, somehow in the middle of that, and you lead them to church and you lead them to this group or whatever it may be. No, I don't have to kiss anybody that comes through our doors of our church on a Sunday for them to come to Christ.
Right.
I need to point them to Jesus. I don't have to date them to do it.
Yeah.
So let's not think like that.
Yeah.
Because that's ill-fated.
Yes.
You're setting yourself up. Just be honest with yourself and go, this person's really attractive to me. They ring my bells. I want to be with them, but I got a problem here because they don't love Jesus. So at that point, you got to determine your own standard. Okay, great. Then if they get married and they never come to Christ, and now all of a sudden you have competing philosophies on the importance of church, biblical community, the inerrancy of God's word, how to raise children, all the rest of these types of things that are foundational to a relationship. If you want to just have that level of conflict and division from the very day you say I do, you're setting yourself up for a lot of heartbreak.
Yeah.
But guess what? Now you're married to him. So you can't leave now. And so you can't get on the phone with your mom now. And you deserve better, baby. All that stuff is you should have figured, you saw that before you got married.
Yeah.
Now you got to figure it out.
Yeah. Now, what about, because, we're talking a lot about what it would look like to date someone that's not a Christian or, and you are. Let's get into it a little bit deeper and say, let's say I'm single and someone else is single and we both love the Lord and we both serve and we're very involved in all of these things.
Okay.
We're both single, but we're not necessarily sparks flying attracted to each other.
Okay.
Should someone look at a lens of, let's say maybe they are desiring relationships and perhaps they are ready to date. Does this mean that it all automatically is going to work with another person that's single and serves the Lord and is a Christian and is great at all of these things, but they're not, you don't get sparks when you're around them? Oh. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah. More of a sacrifice marriage. Even though this person disgusts me, there's enough going for them in the spiritual area to where I guess I can hold my nose for the next 50 years of marriage. Is that what you're basically asking?
Yeah, basically. Should someone come from that angle ever and go, I'm not really attracted to them, but I love that they love the Lord and I don't have to worry about the way we view raising children. And it's very Dwight Schrute feeling type of.
Let's just use Dwight as the example. So let's say you were Miss Texas, right? And God puts a Dwight Schrute in your life as Miss Texas, right? A beauty contestant. Okay. So there's a bit of on the outside, it's a little bit of a disparity in the vibe, and you're not attracted to Dwight Schrute, but he loves Jesus passionately.
Right.
Here's what I would say. Just pay attention to that moment where you feel like the Holy Spirit is saying, take a second look at Dwight. Just at least pay attention to it. Don't be so quick to say no.
Right.
Because the Lord may actually go, this is actually the one, believe it or not, right?
Right.
Who I believe, but this is the one that I need you to pay attention to because there's something here. Then we have to die to self and go, well, my friends are going to make fun of me for dating Dwight Schrute. I'm not even attracted to Dwight Schrute, but I do see the beauty of Christ in this man, or in this case. Is there something here, Lord? And then the Lord, and I've heard couples talk like this. So it's not like a weird thing that never happens.
Sure.
And what can happen is you begin to see the beauty of that person inside and their integrity and who they are as a person on the inside, while their physical appearance or their financial status may not be what your outer exterior wants, but there's something weighty about this person that leads you to go, I'm falling in love with this person. I never would have thought. Your heart will catch up with what your eyes can't see. That can happen fully. And you know what? It does say something about that person that they're not just looks-based people, exterior-based people.
Yeah.
But it may not have been the one that they were dreaming of when they were 14, going, oh, I can't wait to marry my princess or my Prince Charming, and you get a Dwight. Well, maybe what's inside of Dwight is going to be the thing that sustains this marriage and makes it deep and meaningful.
Right.
You know?
And I think what we're saying here is not necessarily...
And you get to live on a beet farm, which is even better.
Which is amazing.
All right, sorry, go on.
And they have a bed and breakfast.
That's right.
Which what we're saying is not necessarily go out and find another single Christian and then say tell that person we're going to start dating.
Yeah.
But what we are saying is that there is so much more than just the outward appearance necessarily.
Sure.
God can do a lot with those relationships and he can still bless them.
Yeah. There's also a level of delusion that is also could be present in somebody. So I had a family friend from the time I was a kid and we grew up together and he was 2 or 3 years older than I am. And all respect, I mean, he was, I'm just going to say he was average.
Okay.
Average appearance. Okay. At best. I'm being sweet. But not that I'm okay. He was average. Let's just go there. He was average. He was in the Air Force. He made decent money. Nice guy. Had a lot of great qualities about himself. But my mom, who loves matchmaking, she would find a girl at church and go, "Oh, I'll say his name's Michael. Michael, you should meet Darla.
Yeah.
Darla's wonderful." And he'd go, "Oh, okay." And bear in mind, this guy, he's not dating anybody, okay? And no one's wanting to really date him, it appears. So he meets Darla. Oh, no way. No way. I would never date her. She's too this. Her nose is too big. She's whatever it may be. And after a while, my mom was like, "Have you looked in the mirror yourself?" And I know this sounds horrible, but let's talk real life.
Real talk, though.
So his standard, he was delusional. He wanted a 10 runway model, Victoria's Secret level.
And he was a 6.
Oh, sure. He was a 6. And now listen, I know I'm no prize either. I get it. But at least I'm honest enough about it.
Right.
This dude really, guess what? To this day, he's never gotten married and he's close to 60 now. And so there is an element where you go, "Ew, I would never date a Dwight Schrute." Well, you need to look in the mirror and assess your own life, not even just your appearance, but also just everything else about you, your personality, and these other things, and go, "Well, am I a catch?"
Right.
And maybe we don't turn our noses up as quick as at the Dwights of the world because, I mean, come on. I'm not saying it's just an appearance thing. I'm talking about what represents that.
Yeah.
You could have a Dwight Schrute credit score. You could have a Dwight Schrute car. You could have a Dwight Schrute career. Dwight Schrute is the picture of what we're talking about, but obviously appearance is a part of that as well. And it's like, well, hold on.
Hang tight.
Yeah, hang tight. So I appreciate people having high standards. We shouldn't lower our standards for the things that matter. Because the bottom line is this. Angelina Jolie and Brad Pitt, right? When they got married, it was like, these are the two most beautiful people on planet Earth.
Right.
But there will be a time when they are not. And they're both going to look like old people with hip problems. So if that's what we're banking on is how beautiful kids you're going to make, oh my gosh, so there has to be something beyond just the exterior that we have to really make more investments towards than just trying to look and stay hot for the rest of your life with this person and vice versa. It's going to have to be something more than that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you even look at like Tom Brady and Giselle, whatever her last name is, just because it's too hard to say. But they're a beautiful, gorgeous couple, successful.
Awesome.
And
guess what?
Didn't work out.
They got divorced.
Yep, exactly. Because they didn't have ultimately, as far as I know from.
Well, I know Tom personally. He explained to me a lot of that. Yeah.
Well, it was his fault though.
It was his fault. So. Yeah. And he owns it.
He owns it.
Tom has no idea who David Martin is. But right, they have everything. So I was listening to this podcast. I've been listening to it intermittently. Not this one, but this podcast called The George Janko Show.
Oh, yeah.
And he had Donnie Wahlberg on from New Kids on the Block.
Okay.
And I'm currently listening to it intermittently over the next couple of days. And I was intrigued by it because I didn't realize Donnie Wahlberg of NKOTB was a Christian.
Oh,
now,
yeah.
But he talks about this very thing. He said, "Man, look," he said, "I woke up this morning," he said, "and I looked at my life." He's like, "I have a beautiful home. I've had fame. I have fame. Things are still successful for me. I have money, right? I have influence. I have all these things. I have what everybody says, this is it." And he said, "My wife," which is Jenny McCarthy. So if you know who she is, okay, she's been beautiful since ever, right? I remember her on this show called Remote Control back in the 90s. And I'm like, she's just perfect, right? A perfect looking woman. And he said, "I've got her." And he said, "I woke up this morning just thinking, my gosh, I still feel so lonely." And he's like, the world would say I have everything. And he said, yet in spite of all my blessings and I see them and I appreciate them, I'm still lonely. And he said, it dawned on me this morning, I need Jesus. That's what I'm really been looking for my whole life. I want to say C.S. Lewis said, when a young man goes and knocks on the door of a brothel on a Saturday night, he said what he's actually looking for is God. And so whatever it is that we're trying to accomplish relationally in our lives, we just need to keep that in mind. Yeah. Whoever's lives we're knocking on the door of, we're really looking for God, because no one's fully going to know you. No one's going to fully see you. No one's going to fully love you and accept you and appreciate and celebrate you and all the things that we deep down are longing to have met. When we realize only Jesus can do those things for us, to see us and know us and embrace us in spite of what we're not, that's where the safety is going to show up. That's where the oneness that you're looking for in some other human or thing is going to arrive. It really is in Christ. The answer is in Christ. You know what that allows David to do now that I'm learning this? Oh, Sarah is a blessing to me, but she's not my source. So when she does fail, it may hurt, but you know what? I serve her. I love her. I forgive her, and she with me. Yeah. Because my source is Jesus. What I'm expecting from her, there will be limits to what she can give.
Yes.
So I'll let her be who she is and take what she gives and be thankful.
Yeah.
So you can have a good marriage, and it could be very fulfilling and life-giving. But when I took that burden off of Sarah and went, I'm just going to love you, no strings attached. Whatever love you give me, I'll appreciate it and thank God for it. But I can't let the sun rise and fall on you, because that's not even fair. No wonder I'm walking in frustration. No wonder I'm walking in confusion. Or whatever those seasons were for our marriage. I was like, oh, it's Jesus. It was always Jesus. I was just knocking on the door of Sarah's life going, are you God in there? Can you be God for me? And she can't.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
What do you think of that?
That's good.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm trying to, that feels real good.
I do
good,
too.
Yeah.
We both felt it right there. Yeah. So we'll stop there.
Yeah.
and so I think going back to knocking on the door, right? Am I ready to date? That was the first question. How do I know when I'm ready to date? When you are at a place where you don't need to date in order to be fulfilled and happy and seen and loved and all these things. When you no longer need that from another person, I would say now you're ready to date.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it took a long time for us to get to that answer, but I think that's it.
Yeah, I think so too.
When you don't need to date in order to feel valid and all those things, then you're actually healthy enough to be in a relationship. And what I've heard this piece of advice given, but become the person that you want to find in someone else. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So there you go.
I also just really quick also want to touch on it's okay to not date. Yeah. Like, I just want to make sure that we close the episode with talking about it's okay to not date. And it's okay if marriage is not for you. That doesn't mean be a serial dater, right? But I mean, we see that in the Bible. We see Paul talking about this. Paul is an example of this, where if you are still going to serve, like if you aren't dating, then you serve the Lord with your whole heart. And there is a piece of where dating kind of takes, you shift a little bit, right? Because now you have to balance several different things. But if you're like Paul and you are not called to marriage, that is also very okay.
It is so okay.
I think we live in a world that says it's not. And everybody has to aspire to get married and to have kids and to be fruitful and multiply, as we hear all the time.
Yeah.
If that's not what the Lord has for you and you feel that, that's okay.
It is okay.
Yeah.
But I also know that there were probably those listening who aren't even in a pool to where they're able to date people. There is no romantic relationship in their lives, and they long for that, right? But it goes back to the fantasy that we're sold, is that if you complete me, then I need to find someone to do that.
Right.
So who am I if I don't have a woman or a man by my side? And so if that's our approach, then we will have to lower our standards to a point of heartbreak, either today or tomorrow, right? In order to make this happen, only to find out and realize this person doesn't complete you. Why? Because there's a 50% divorce rate, even among Christians who buy into this. So people are good at getting married. They're not good at staying married. And so when you understand it's not what you think in the regard of my life will be complete at this point, then you just know that. So there are those, like to Paul, he said, it's better that you actually don't get married. That's what he says in the Bible, right?
Yeah.
It's actually better if you don't. He said, but if you can't control your physical desires, then get married, because, you got to do what you got to do, but get married and live your life. But when a single person who can't even find a person to go to a movie with hears that, it's like a dagger to their heart, because they long to have that. And that is natural. I want to say this. It is normal for you to want a relationship with someone of the opposite sex. It is normal and natural to want to have that experience, right? I can't imagine having lived my life without Sarah.
Yeah.
It's without Sarah Martin, right? And the things that she's brought to my life and the experiences that we've been able to share. I did that with her. So I see why anybody would want that. And I get that. It's just not going to be the thing that completes you. And so here's the thing. The Lord gives us the desires of our hearts. We know that. That's what the Word of God says. So I say to the singles out there, if you're in a season of loneliness where you feel you're overlooked, and you aren't in a place to where you can even find someone to say yes to date you, here's what I would say. Become the person you would want to date in this season of preparation. And if we really do trust the Lord, then allow Him to meet that desire in His time. Because what can happen if we're not careful is we can get the first one who wants to dance with us at the dance, and because we're not in a place of maturity or even self-awareness, we can immediately default over to this person, drop standards, drop our morals, and all the rest of these things in order to just hold on to what is now an idol. And the problem is God can never bless an idol. Yeah. He's actually offended by it. And He hates it, and He will expose it for what it is. Yeah. And so you don't want to jump in too soon. So if the Lord wants you to be in the dating pool at some point, maybe He's holding you back for that one other person who is also preparing themselves for you too in the future. Yeah. So work on yourself in the meantime. Get your credit score good, right? Be responsible. Love the Lord. Pursue Him, serve the Lord, do all the things. No one's tying your hands. You don't need a other person to do that.
Yes.
Just be a great son and daughter of God. And to your point, there will be someone who probably more than likely who's got some similar interests or season of life that jumps on your path, and you look on the corner of your eye and you go, oh my gosh, where'd they come from? Yeah. And then let the Lord do whatever He's going to do.
Yeah. All right.
All right.
Well, guys, thanks for joining on this first episode of our relationship series. As always, please feel free to like, share if this is, and subscribe. But if this episode was meaningful to you, please let us know, leave us a comment, and continue to ask us questions. We are excited to just keep answering them.
Totes.
All right. Bye, guys.
Love you guys. See you next time.